Chapter 1. She chose money over me. Knew something was wrong the moment Lena chose the cafe. It wasn't our cafe. It was too bright, too clean, too expensive for no reason. The kind of place where cups were tiny and prices were loud. I stood at the door for a second, checking my reflection in the glass. Same old jacket, same worn shoes. I already felt out of place. She waved at me from inside, phone in hand, eyes distant. Sit, she said when I reached her table. No smile, no warmth. I sat. She didn't ask how my day was. She didn't ask if I'd eaten. She went straight to it. I can't do this anymore, she said. My throat tightened. Do what? This, she repeated, gesturing between us. I tried to laugh. What happened? Did I forget something again? She sighed, long and tired, like I was a chore. You don't get it. I'm tired of struggling. I'm tired of pretending love is enough. I leaned forward. Lena, we've been through worse. Remember, don't, she cut in. Don't bring up the past like it's some prize. Her words stung. I lowered my voice. If this is about money, I told you I'm working on it. I just need time. That's all you ever say, she snapped. Time, patience, hope. People nearby glanced over. My face burned. I don't want hope anymore, she continued. I want security. I want a future that doesn't scare me. I swallowed. So you're scared of me now? She hesitated. Just for a second, then nodded. Double quotes yes. The word hit harder than I expected. I reached for her hand. She pulled away. I met someone, she said. My fingers froze in midair. What? He understands the world I want to live in, she said quietly. He doesn't count coins before ordering. The bell above the cafe door rang. A man walked in wearing a fitted suit and a confident smile. He looked like money, like ease, like everything I was in single quotes. He walked straight to our table. Sorry I'm late, he said, then kissed Lena's cheek. She didn't stop him. This is Marcus, she said, finally looking at me again. My boyfriend. Marcus glanced at me, then down at my jacket. His smile widened. You must be the ex. I stood slowly. My legs felt weak. So this is it. Lena crossed her arms. I didn't want it to be ugly. I laughed once. It came out wrong. You brought him here. He insisted, she said. Marcus shrugged. Transparency is important. I looked at Lena. Was any of it real? Her jaw tightened. It was. Enough. Until it wasn't. I nodded. I didn't trust my voice. Marcus leaned closer. Look, man, she deserves better. No hard feelings. I wanted to hit him. I wanted to scream. Instead, I picked up my bag. I hope you get everything you want, I said to Lena. She didn't answer. I walked out. The air outside felt colder. The street was loud, full of people going somewhere. I stood there, useless, while my phone buzzed in my pocket. Unknown number. I ignored it. I walked until my legs hurt, until the city thinned into shadows. I sat on a bench under a broken streetlight and stared at the ground. I replayed every moment, every promise, every time she said she didn't care about money. I laughed softly to myself. Lies sounded so gentle when love wrapped them. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I turned it face down. I guess being poor is a crime now, I muttered. The bench was cold. My chest felt hollow. I had nothing left to lose. I closed my eyes and let the night swallow me, not knowing that the call I ignored was about to tear my life open in ways I couldn't imagine. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this story, make sure to subscribe and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Your support helps bring more chapters and stories to life. Chapter 2. The call I almost missed. My phone buzzed again. I stared at it like it had personally offended me. Unknown number. Same as before. I almost threw it into the street. Instead, I sighed and answered. What? There was silence. Then a calm, old voice said, Is this Daniel Hayes? I frowned. Who's asking? My name is Arthur Collins, the man said. I'm calling on behalf of the Hayes Family Trust. I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. You've got the wrong person. I don't believe I do, he replied. You're the son of Michael Hayes. My heart skipped. Just once. I don't have a father, I said. He died when I was a kid. Arthur paused. That is not accurate. I stood up. Listen, I'm not in the mood for scams. Daniel, he said gently. Your father is alive and very ill. The street noise faded. That's not funny, I assure you. I don't joke about these things, Arthur said. You were hidden for your safety. Your father made the decision. For what safety? I demanded. For his fortune, Arthur replied. And your life. I leaned against a lamppost. My legs felt weak again. You expect me to believe my broke childhood was some kind of plan? Yes, he said, and it worked. I rubbed my face. Why now? Because your father doesn't have much time, Arthur said, and because you are his sole heir. The word echoed in my head. Heir. That's impossible, I said. If he was rich. Where was he when my mom worked herself to death? Arthur's voice softened. Your mother knew. She agreed to it. That one hurt more than Lena leaving. I closed my eyes. Prove it. I've sent documents to your email, Arthur said. Birth records, legal filings, trust papers. I checked my phone. 3 unread emails. My hands shook as I opened. The first. My name. My father's name. Stamps. Seals. Real. How much? I asked quietly. Arthur didn't hesitate. Currently valued at $47 billion. Global assets, energy, shipping, technology. I laughed again, this time breathless. You're insane. I'll arrange a flight, he said. Private, tonight, if you wish. I thought of Lina's face. Marcus's smile. No, I said. I don't want charity. This isn't charity, Arthur replied. It's inheritance. I looked up at the dark sky. If I say yes, my life changes forever, doesn't it? Yes, he said simply. I remembered counting coins. Remember Lena saying love wasn't enough. Fine. I said, I'll come, Arthur. Exhaled, like he'd been holding his breath for years. Good. Pack nothing. Everything will be provided. The call ended. I stood there for a long time, phone pressed to my ear. Even after the line went dead. 40-7 billion. I checked the email again. It was real. All of it. A black car pulled up beside me like it had been waiting all along. The driver stepped out. Mr. Hayes. I hesitated. Then nodded. Double quotes yes. I said, that's me. As the car door closed behind me, I felt something unfamiliar settle in my chest. Not joy. Not revenge. Possibility. And somewhere across the city, Lena was probably laughing over dessert, thinking she'd won. She had no idea the game had just begun. Chapter 3. The world I was never meant to see. The car didn't stop at the airport terminal. It drove past it. I leaned forward. Hey, where are we going? The driver didn't look back. Private hangar. Sir. Double quotes sir. That word felt wrong. Like it didn't belong to me. The gate lifted without anyone checking IDs. A sleek black jet waited on the runway. Lights glowing softly like it had been expecting me all night. I swallowed. This is excessive. The driver opened my door. For the Hayes family. This is standard. I almost said I'm not Hayes family. But the words wouldn't come out. Inside the jet, everything smelled clean and expensive. Leather seats, soft lights, no noise except a low hum. Arthur Collins stood near the aisle. You came, he said, smiling. I almost didn't, I replied. I still feel like I'm walking into a trap. Arthur gestured for me to sit. That feeling won't go away for a while. The jet took off smoothly. No announcements, no turbulence. I stared out the window as the city shrank below me. Somewhere down there was my old apartment, my broken phone charger, the memories I couldn't pack even if I wanted to. Arthur sat across from me. Do you have questions? I laughed bitterly. Where do I start? He nodded. Ask the hardest one. Why was I abandoned? I said, say it plainly. Arthur folded his hands. You weren't abandoned. You were protected. From what? I snapped. From your father's enemies. He said, from kidnappings, from leverage, from being used. So instead, I grew up poor. I said, bullied, hungry, invisible. Arthur didn't interrupt. My mom died tired. I continued. If this was protection, it cost too much. He lowered his head. Your father wanted to bring you back sooner. Your mother refused. I froze. Why'd she believe the quiet? Life was better than a golden cage, Arthur said. She believed love mattered more than power. I closed my eyes. Mom. Double quotes. She asked one thing, Arthur continued. That you never know the truth unless it became unavoidable. And now, it is. I asked, yes. He said, because your father is dying. The jet flew on in silence. After a while, Arthur said, you'll be landing in Zurich from there. We go to the estate. Estate, I repeated, right? He studied me. You're handling this better than most. I'm not, I said quietly. I'm just numb. That was the truth. My emotions felt like they were lagging behind reality. We landed before dawn. The estate wasn't a house. It was a small world. Iron gates. Gardens bigger than the neighborhood I grew up in. Stone buildings that looked older than my entire bloodline. I stepped out of the car and felt very small. This is absurd, I muttered. A woman approached us. Tall, sharp eyes, perfect posture. Welcome home, she said. I'm Evelyn Hayes. The name hit me like a slap. My aunt. I guess. Double quotes. Yes, she replied coolly. Though we've never met. She looked me up and down, not with warmth, with calculation. So this is Michael's secret, she said. You look ordinary. I clenched my jaw. Nice to meet you too. Arthur cleared his throat. Evelyn oversees internal affairs. Meaning? I asked. She smiled thinly. Meaning I protect this family from mistakes. Her eyes stayed on me. I'm not a mistake, I said. She raised a brow. That remains to be seen. I followed them inside. Marble floors, art on every wall. Staff moving silently like I wasn't there. This place didn't feel like home. It felt like a test. Arthur led me to a study. Your father will see you tomorrow. He's weak today. I nodded. Okay. Evelyn turned to leave, then paused. One more thing, Daniel. What? She smiled again. Your existence changes many balances. Be careful who you trust. She left. I sat alone in the massive room, surrounded by wealth I never asked for. I pulled out my phone. One message from Lena popped up. Lena, I heard you quit your job. Don't be dramatic. Call me when you calm down. I stared at her name. Then I turned the phone off. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like chasing anyone. Tomorrow, I would meet the man who hid me from the world. And somehow, I knew nothing would ever be simple again. Chapter 4. The man who gave me everything and nothing. He barely slept. The bed was huge, soft, and quiet, but my mind wouldn't shut up. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Mom's tired smile. I heard Lena's sharp voice. I felt the weight of a last name I had never earned. At dawn, someone knocked. Mr. Hayes. A calm voice said, It's Tom. I almost laughed. The name still felt borrowed. Arthur waited outside my room. He looked more serious than before, like he was bracing himself. Are you ready? He asked. No, I said honestly. But let's do it anyway. We walked through long halls until we reached a guarded door. Two men stepped aside. Arthur knocked once, then opened it. The room smelled like medicine and old books. A man lay in the bed by the window. He looked thinner than I expected, frail. His hair was gray, his face sharp but worn, like someone who'd fought too many wars and won too many of them. That's him, Arthur said softly. Your father. My legs didn't move. The man turned his head slowly. His eyes met mine, and something broke inside me. So, he said in a weak but steady voice, You finally came. I swallowed. You sent a stranger to drag me across the world. Hard not to. A faint smile touched his lips. You sound like your mother that did it. Don't say her name like you knew her. I snapped. She raised me alone while you lived in palaces. Arthur shifted uncomfortably, but my father raised a hand. Leave us, he said. Arthur hesitated, then nodded and stepped out. Silence fell. I never stopped watching you, my father said. I knew where you went to school. I knew when you worked 3 jobs. I knew when you slept hungry. Then why didn't you help? I demanded, even once. Because help would have exposed you, he said, and exposure would have killed you. I laughed bitterly. That sounds very convenient, he sighed. Sit down, Daniel. I didn't correct him. I sat. My enemies don't fight fair. He continued. They take sons, wives, mothers. I lost to brothers that way. So, you chose to lose me instead. I said, yes. He replied quietly. So you could live. I stared at him. You don't get credit for that. I know, he said. That's why I didn't ask for forgiveness. That surprised me. He reached to the bedside table and picked up a thin folder. This is yours. I didn't touch it. What is it? I asked. Proof, he said. That everything Arthur told you is true. Your identity, the trust fund, the shares. I don't want money, I said. I wanted answers. He nodded, then asked, why now? I said, why reveal me now? He looked at the window. Because I'm dying, and because Evelyn is preparing to take everything. I stiffened. My aunt, she believes blood is enough, he said. She believes power belongs only to those raised in it, and you don't, I asked. He looked back at me. I believe power should be earned. That landed heavier than I expected. I don't know how to do this. I said, I'm not you. Good. He replied, you're not meant to be. He coughed, hard. I stood without thinking. But he waved me off. You don't need to stay, he said. You can walk away, take the money, disappear. I won't stop. I searched his face for manipulation. I didn't find it. What happens if I stay? I asked. He smiled faintly. You'll be tested. Attacked, undermined. You'll lose people you trust. That sounds awful, I said. Yes, he agreed. But you'll also learn who you are. I stood up. I don't forgive you, I said. I don't even like you. He nodded. Fair. But I won't run, I added. Not again. His eyes softened. That's all I hoped for. When I left the room, Evelyn was waiting. Well, she asked. Did he fill your head with fairy tales? I met her gaze. He told me the truth. She laughed lightly. Truth is flexible here. Not for me. I said, I've lived without it long enough. Her smile faded as I walked away. I felt it clearly for the first time. This wasn't about money. It was about survival. And somewhere far away, Lena still thought I was nothing. I didn't know it yet, but the balance was already shifting. Chapter 5. The first cut is always the deepest. Evelyn didn't follow me. That alone told me everything. If she had seen me as harmless, she would have smiled and offered help. If she thought I was useful, she would have tested me with kindness. But silence meant one thing. I was a threat. Arthur met me in the hall. One look at my face, and he nodded. You felt it too, he said. She hates me, I replied. She fears you, he corrected. That's worse. He led me to a smaller study, less grand than the others. One desk, one chair, one old clock ticking too loudly. This is where you'll work, Arthur said. Work? I repeated. Doing what? Learning, he said, and surviving. He placed a tablet on the desk. The screen lit up with names, charts, and numbers that made my head spin. These are subsidiary companies under the Heir Group. He explained. Shipping, energy, tech, finance. I scrolled, slowly. This is massive and fragile, he said. One bad move can cost billions. I leaned back. So what's my role? Arthur's eyes met mine. Today. Nothing. Today. We see who moves first. I didn't have to wait long. By noon, a woman walked in without knocking. Tall, sharp eyes, perfect suit. Clara Wynn, she said. Board secretary. I stood. Daniel, she looked me up and down. So you're the surprise. That's one word for it. She didn't smile. You'll attend the emergency board briefing this afternoon. Arthur frowned. That wasn't the chair requested it. Clara cut in, already turning to leave. Arthur sighed once she was gone. They're forcing you into the light. Good, I said. I'm tired of shadows. The boardroom felt like a battlefield. 12 people sat around a long table. Every face screamed power, money, experience. And then there was me. Evelyn sat at the far end, legs crossed, expression calm, too calm. This is highly irregular, a man said as I entered. We're discussing sensitive matters. He's family, Evelyn said smoothly, and potentially useful. I bit back a response and took the empty seat. The presentation began. Losses, risks, a delayed acquisition in Southeast Asia. Then Evelyn spoke. The deal stalled due to internal miscommunication, she said. Certain advisors failed to act. Her eyes flicked to me. I frowned. I just got here. Exactly, she replied, fresh eyes. Perhaps you see something we missed. The room turned toward me. I felt the pressure squeeze my chest, but then something strange happened. I remembered nights counting coins, reading contracts by phone light, learning because I had no safety net. I leaned forward. Why is the acquisition structured through 3 shell companies? I asked. It adds cost and delay. A murmur rippled. It's standard, Evelyn said. No, I replied calmly. It's outdated. Local regulations changed last year. You're exposing the deal to audit risk. Silence. Clara looked at her tablet. He is right? Evelyn's jaw tightened for half a second before she smiled again. Interesting observation. But her eyes were cold. After the meeting, Arthur exhaled sharply. You just embarrassed her. She tried to use me as bait, I said. I bit back. He nodded. Good. But expect retaliation. It came that night. I received an email marked urgent, an internal investigation. Allegations of misconduct tied to my identity verification. They're trying to freeze your access, Arthur said when I showed him. Classic move. What do I do? You fight, he said, or you disappear. I thought of Lana's face when she said I wasn't enough. I'm done disappearing, I said. Arthur smiled. Just a little. Then let's draw blood. He pulled out a folder. This contains records Evelyn doesn't know I kept. What kind of records? I asked. He slid it across the desk. The kind that proves she's been bleeding the company for years. I stared at it. This won't just hurt her, I said. It'll destroy her. Arthur met my gaze. She started this war long before you arrived. I closed the folder. Outside. Night settled over the city. Somewhere across the ocean, Lena was probably sleeping beside someone she thought was better than me. She had no idea what I was becoming. And Evelyn. She thought this was a game. She was wrong. This was the first cut, and it wouldn't be the last. Chapter 6. Blood looks different under fluorescent lights. Didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Lina's face the night she left me, calm, almost kind. Like she was doing me a favor by walking away. You're good, she had said. Just not good enough. Now I sat under lights that never dimmed, holding proof that the woman across the boardroom table was stealing from her own blood. Arthur paced the room. If we release this the wrong way, they'll paint you as revenge-driven, an emotional heir. I am emotional, I said. I just learned to hide it. He stopped. Then we use facts, not anger. I nodded and opened the folder again. Offshore transfers, shell accounts, consulting fees paid to companies that didn't exist, all routed through Evelyn. I said quietly. Yes, Arthur replied, but never directly. She's careful. So how do we make it stick? We don't attack her, he said. We corner her. The next morning, I walked into the building like I belonged there. No borrowed suit. No lowered eyes. People noticed. Clara intercepted me near the elevators. You're scheduled to meet compliance. I know. I said. I asked for it. Her eyebrows lifted. You did. Yes. I have concerns. She studied me for a second, then nodded. Room 1 for compliance was a trap Evelyn had set. I was supposed to stumble, contradict myself, look unprepared. Instead, I laid out documents calmly. These transfers, I said, sliding the tablet forward, violate internal risk policy. The man across from me frowned. These are approved by the chair. Approval doesn't erase conflict of interest, I replied, especially when the beneficiaries are hidden. Silence. A woman on the panel adjusted her glasses. Where did you get this? From internal archives, I said, which I now suspect were meant to be deleted. That was the hook. By lunchtime, whispers followed me again, but different now. Sharper. Curious. Evelyn called me that afternoon. Daniel, she said warmly. Too warmly. Come see me. Her office felt colder than before. You're moving fast, she said. Pouring tea. It worries people. I didn't come to be comfortable, I replied. She smiled. You came to prove something. Yes, I said. That you underestimated me. The smile vanished. You think you can win? She asked quietly. This company eats people like you? I've already been eaten, I said. Surviving changes your taste. She set the cup down. You're digging into matters you don't understand. I understand betrayal, I said. I understand family turning on family. Her eyes hardened. Careful. Or what? I asked. You'll do what you already planned. She stood. You think you're righteous because you were poor. I think I'm dangerous because I replied. That night, the attack came to press leak. Anonymous sources questioning my legitimacy. Old photos of my cramped apartment. Headlines calling me a fraud chasing money. Arthur called me immediately. They're trying to shame you back into silence. I scrolled through the articles, my chest tight. Let them. Daniel, I've been shamed my whole life. I said. This won't break me. I did one thing they didn't expect. I called Lena. She answered after 3 rings. Why are you calling me? I just wanted to say thank you. I said. For what? She snapped. For leaving, I replied calmly. If you hadn't, I'd still think small. She laughed bitterly. You think money changes who you are? No, I said. It shows who you always were. I hung up before she could respond. The next morning, the board convened again. This time, I wasn't invited. So I walked in anyway. Object, I said, standing at the door. This session violates succession transparency rules. Evelyn stared at me like she wanted to kill me. You don't have standing, she said. I do, Arthur said, rising beside me. I'm invoking Clause 17. The room erupted. Documents were projected, numbers exposed, names spoken out loud for the first time. Evelyn's control slipped just a little. Enough. By the end of the meeting, an external audit was approved, not a victory. But blood had hit the floor. As I left the room, Clara caught up to me. You're not afraid, she said. I am, I admitted. I just don't let it choose for me. She nodded once. Be careful. People don't forgive exposure. I looked back at the boardroom doors. I'm not asking for forgiveness, I said. I'm asking for truth. And the truth was simple. Evelyn wasn't untouchable. She was bleeding. And I was still standing. Chapter 7. The fall is louder when you pretend you can't hear. The city didn't know it yet. But something had shifted. I felt it the moment I stepped into the building the next morning. Conversation stopped when I passed. Eyes followed me, not with pity, not with curiosity, but with calculation. I had become a variable. Arthur met me in the elevator. The auditors arrived at dawn. That fast. I asked. They didn't want this buried, he said. Neither do some people on the board. We stepped out onto the executive floor. The security officer stood near Evelyn's office. "That's new," I said. Arthur nodded. "She requested it. Of course she did." I didn't go to my desk. I went straight to the lounge overlooking the city. Glass walls, clean lines. A place built to make people feel small. Clara joined me a few minutes later. "The press is circling," she said. "Evelyn gave an interview last night." I laughed once. "Let me guess. She played the victim. She called this a family misunderstanding," Clara replied. "Said you were confused, hurt, and unstable," I added. "She didn't say it," Clara said, "but she let others imply it. I watched traffic crawl far below." "That's fine." "Fine," Clara asked. "She's poisoning the narrative." "She always was," I said. "I just stopped drinking." By noon, the first report leaked. Irregular transfers, unapproved shell companies, conflict of interest. Flagged in bold red. The stock dipped. Just a little. Enough to panic people who had always believed the floor was solid. Evelyn summoned the board again. This time, I was invited. She stood when I entered. "Daniel," she said softly. "Sit." Did she address the room? "These accusations are exaggerated, misinterpreted data. Then release the full ledger," I said. Her eyes flicked to me. "We will. And Tom." "That's not transparency," Arthur said. "That's delay." Evelyn's voice sharpened. "You're enjoying this?" "No," I said. "I'm surviving it." A man near the end of the table cleared his throat. "We've received notice of a regulatory inquiry." The room went still. Evelyn's hands tightened on the table. "That's premature." They were tipped off, he continued, by someone internal. Her gaze snapped to me. I didn't blink. "You did this," she said quietly. "I didn't leak anything," I replied. "I just stopped hiding it." She stood abruptly. "You think exposing me makes you clean?" "I never claimed to be clean," I said. "Only honest." That was when she broke. "You were nothing," she snapped. "A nobody raised by luck and pity. This company wasn't built for you." The words hit, but they didn't cut like they used to. "Neither was poverty," I said. "But I survived that too." The chair intervened. "Enough." He turned to Evelyn. "You'll step back during the investigation." Her face went pale. "You can't be serious. It's procedural," he said. She looked around the room. Allies avoided her eyes. Then she laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. "You think this ends with me?" I met her stare. "No, I think it begins." That evening, I got a message from Lena. "We need to talk." I almost ignored it. Almost. We met at a cafe far from the towers and glass. She looked the same, stylish, controlled. "You're everywhere," she said. "News, social feeds. Is that why you came?" I asked. She hesitated. "I didn't know who you really were." "I didn't either," I replied. She reached for my hand. I pulled back. "You left because I was poor," I said. "That truth doesn't change." Her eyes filled. "I was scared. So was I." I said. "I just stayed." She swallowed. "Do you hate me?" I thought about it. "No," I said. "I outgrew you." I stood and walked away before she could respond. Back at the office, Arthur waited with a grim smile. Evelyn's accounts were frozen. "Just hers?" I asked. "For now," he said. "But the web is unraveling." I looked out at the city again. Lights flickering on, one by one. Evelyn had built her power on silence and control. I had built mine on endurance, and endurance always lasts longer. The fall hadn't finished, but everyone could hear it now. Chapter 8, Reign of Truth Warning. Air felt different that day, crisp, heavy with the weight of finality. I walked into the office not as the boy who had been abandoned, not as the one dismissed for being poor, but as the heir to a legacy I had finally earned. Arthur met me at the entrance, nodding. "Everything's in order." The board voted unanimously. This morning, Evelyn is suspended indefinitely. Regulatory bodies are reviewing her actions. The press, well, they're ecstatic. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I already knew. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about closure, about reclaiming what was rightfully mine. I made my way to the boardroom. Empty chairs waited, but the silence wasn't oppressive. It was liberating. I sat at the head of the table, the weight of authority settling over me like a familiar coat. Then the door opened. Evelyn entered. Her eyes wide, lips pressed in a thin line. She looked smaller than I remembered, not in stature, but in presence. The empire she had once ruled with arrogance now ignored her. "Daniel," she began, voice trembling, though she tried to mask it with defiance. "Evelyn," I said evenly, "you've been given your consequences. That's all I will say." She flinched at my calm. You think you've won. I've reclaimed what was mine," I said, "but I don't need you to validate that." Her hands shook. You were nothing. You were just a boy. "And now?" I asked softly, letting the silence answer for me. She turned away, unable to meet my gaze. The empire she had tried to manipulate now belonged to someone who had endured, survived, and risen beyond her cruelty. Later that day, I met Victoria at the garden of the corporate estate. She smiled, radiant and serene. Her presence reminded me why I had fought, why I had endured. "I watched everything," she said, "the news, the audits. I was worried." "I'm fine," I replied. "Better than fine. We've survived together." She took my hand. "And what about her? She'll face her choices." I said, "Justice, not vengeance." I've learned that the best revenge is living well. We walked among the flowers, letting the sun warm our faces. For the first time in years, I felt at peace. Later, I addressed the company staff. My voice echoed through the hall, steady and confident. "We moved forward," I said. "No more shadows. No more deceit, only transparency, growth, and integrity. Together, we build a future stronger than any one person, stronger than any betrayal." The applause was genuine. No whispers, no veiled resentments, only hope. That evening, Victoria and I stood at the balcony, watching the city lights blink away. "I never imagined it would end like this," she said softly. "Neither did I admitted. "But it's perfect in its own way. I've lost what didn't matter and gained what I was meant to keep." She rested her head on my shoulder. I wrapped my arm around her. From the shadows of betrayal to the clarity of triumph, I had learned something vital. Survival isn't about power, it's about patience, endurance, and truth. And finally, after everything, the boy who had been nothing had become someone unstoppable. The empire, the wealth, the legacy, they were mine. But the victory that truly mattered was the peace I had earned, the life I had reclaimed, and the love that had waited through every storm. The city sprawled below, silent and beautiful, and I knew, at last, I was home.